everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. And how's it going, man? Got big plans this weekend?
No, well, not really. This weekend for me is just more or less getting ready for next week. So next week is when I start. I got to get the supplies I need. We're throwing that toward that July 5th barbecue party. So it's just more or less getting stuff ready for that, getting the meats and all that good stuff. So it'll be a lot of grocery shopping, if anything.
Right on.
That and looking for a new truck because, like I said, my Dodge took a pooper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the fun of having cars, right?
God, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. What's up, Pags? It looks like, are you in a hotel room? It looks like, eh? Or downstairs or something. Or...
No. He's on vacation, right? So definitely.
That's right. He is on vacation. Kate May, I believe.
Yeah. Although I don't know if he can hear us.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to think he can't. I thought it was froze at first, up until when I saw him move, and I was like, okay, it's not froze.
Yeah, no, it looks like his signal's not the best though. But
where shall we start?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like we have to start with the NBA, right? Pacers come out and do work, right? And Halliburton wasn't really a part of that equation. They came out and dominated OKC, forcing a game. Oh yeah, his signal's toast. Forcing a game 7, which honestly, I didn't think they were going to be able to do. I thought game 6 was going to be it, but man, they really beat them up there in the middle of the game. I mean, after the first quarter, OKC was really never in danger of winning.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be a different outcome than what we saw. I got to tell you, this is the first time I've seen the Pacers come out in the first quarter or the first half and really just pour it on, like you said. I mean, it typically it's been either a neck and neck or the Thunder control in the first half, and really always have control in the first half, and then the Pacers do work in the second half. But this game, when it was so bad, and the final score actually doesn't really. If all you did was look at the final score, be like 108, 91, all right, whatever. But if you saw when were up by 31 damn points,
yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I can't. The fact that Oklahoma City actually got it to as close, I'm surprised because at 30 points, I was just like, okay, well, I guess there is going to be a game 7 like I initially thought there would be.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, it was a little surprising. Hey, can you hear us now?
I think so.
Okay, much better.
It was a mess.
Yeah, it's a good way to wrap up a week where there's been tech issues the whole time.
Exactly. So,
right.
anyways,
so we're talking about
how about that basketball game yesterday?
Yep, that's what we were talking about. Definitely a little different than I imagined it going down.
I didn't watch not one dribble, so I have to imagine that Halliburton came out like like on fire, and what was it, like 91 points only scored by OKC?
No, they ended up with 90?
Yeah, 91.
Oh,
yeah,
91.
It was 108, 91. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and it was the second and third quarters that were crazy bad for OKC. When you have quarters that are 17 and 18 points, I mean, you're just not getting it done.
Yeah, that would do it every time.
Yeah, like I said, I said this in a previous one. I said Holmgren has to be a part of that game, whether it be offense or defense, whether it be rebounding or points. He's got to be a part of that game. And he only had 4 points and like 6 boards. So, I mean, he was pretty much a non-factor. Dort was a non-factor. Honestly, Caruso off the bench gave you 11, which is kind of a little bit okay. But yeah, defense. I mean, where was Oklahoma City's defense? You know, Toppin went off. Their bench had a great scoring night off. I mean, as a collective bench, I mean, everybody was doing their part. 21 turnovers, 21 for New York to only 11 for Indiana. And that just tells you a lot that you need to know. Pags, you didn't watch this game, but I'm going to tell you that score is not reflective of this game. Pags, at one point, Pacers were up 31 points. 31. And I was like, yeah, this game's toast. Well,
yeah. I mean, when you have 30 points in a half of a game, right? You're at like 35 points. You're not going to win. Not in today's NBA.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, once upon a time, sure. But in a league that's just all scoring all the time.
Yeah, they went. I mean, OKC was definitely not hitting their threes. I mean, they were 8 for 30. That was another issue. Yeah. I felt like, and you know, in the previous games, really, I'm going to kind of go back to even game 5. Game 5, OKC really, not that they didn't shoot the threes, but they really attacked the rim a whole lot more than what they did in this game. And I really think that was another big part of it, the fact that they weren't attacking the rim nearly as much as they had been in previous games.
Yeah.
Do you think that they just were like, hey, we're about to win the championship and, you know, all we got to do is show up?
Put it in cruise control? I mean, maybe. It's definitely possible. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? They no energy, disinterested. Yeah, it's like they thought they were just going to hand them the trophy last night.
Yeah, that they said, we'll just deal with this when we get home and win it in front of our home crowd. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the thing is I'm a fan of if you have the opportunity to win the championship,
you better win the championship.
Yeah, go win it, because you give someone another shot, anything can happen. So if you have the chance to put the dagger in it, you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because just because you have 2 chances doesn't mean anything, because now you got to imagine that Indiana's thinking like, hey, look, we can do this. All we got to do is win an OKC. It's not even a series. Now it's just one game. We're going to go out there and we're going to lay everything on the line. We're going to give them everything we have. And you got to imagine that they're going to come out aggressive. They're going to come out with no fear, and they're going to take it to them. And I wonder if OKC is going to be ready for that.
Well, and they've won in OKC, so it's not like they haven't won there somewhere. So Absolutely.
I mean, if you lose a game, that's fine. But just the way they lost that game, like, you know what I mean? Like, a loss is a loss. Okay, it happens. Sure. But like you said, disinterested, like they don't want to be there. At the biggest game of your life, if you asked Halliburton about last night's game, he would have shot off his whole damn arm to be out there on that freaking court.
Sure, you're trying to win a ring.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, OKC just like, yeah, fuck it.
Yep.
Whatever. And I don't get that.
Got Mr. U in the house.
Mr. U.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was a weird letdown. And yeah, all the pressure is on OKC. They are the favored team. They're at home. You know, like the pressure's on them. The Pacers are playing with house money.
Bro, they had 16 steals. Yep. Pacers had 16 steals to 4 from OKC. I mean, they literally just killed them. It was almost like OKC is the number 1 defense in the league. That's what they say. Number 1 defense in the league. But they didn't look like it. Last night, it looked like the Pacers were the number 1 damn defense in the league. Because they were killing them on all aspects.
The
idea
I have to disagree here, because the Thunder are who stole our team. And so I hope they lose.
So Bo, were you basically channeling your inner Dumb and Dumber when he said, so there is a chance?
Yeah, you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
I'm over here with a voodoo doll trying to get him to lose. Yeah, no, it's it is funny though, because the Thunder, you know, being the better team, it really shouldn't have come to this. Like, they should have won last night. So, I mean, it was the body language from last night that you're just like, okay, like they're not there. And, some of that is, that creates situations where the threes aren't dropping, right? When you're a little disinterested, your shooting is off. Like, it's just kind of, but we'll see you guys will see on Sunday. I won't get to watch it because you know what there is? A Storm game. So so I'll miss Game 7. I'll have to check it out, after the fact.
That should actually be a 3:00 game anyways. It shouldn't be an 8:00 game. It should not be at night. It should be during the day, especially at Game 7 on a Sunday.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it 8
how
o'clock?
much do you feel like that this could be? I'm sure it's an 8:00 start, but it should be like a 3:00 start or a 4:00 start. It should not be late at night. That being said, do you think that maybe OKC is worn out because they haven't used their bench? The one thing that I've noticed is that Indiana has been using 11 players per game, 10, 11 players per game, where OKC has only been using about 7 or 8. And I'm wondering if this is like they're tired. The fact that they've got off Friday and Saturday to play on Sunday night really kind of does them a favor. But realistically, I feel like that this is it, that they're tired, that they are beat up. It's like they've played a lot of games. They have not had as deep of a bench as Indiana has, and that starts to come out of here a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see this game in total and see how this all plays out when this is done, because I'm again not watching one dribble whatsoever, but looking at the box scores. It tells me, that game last night shows me that the Thunder's tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't super energetic, that's for sure, especially through the middle of the game. So it's
especially
fatigue.
when you're down by 30.
Yeah. No, exactly. Fatigue could be a factor for sure.
Well, even if you look at their starters, though, their starters last night, Gilgeous-Alexander's the only one to hit 30 plus at 31. Everybody else was like 21, 27, 24, 16. So, last night, the Thunder definitely used their bench last night. But I think to your point, Pags, maybe they were using their bench because maybe they were tired. They're like, hey, coach, I'm done. Throw somebody else in, this son of a bitch.
Well, like I said, looking at the games, if you look back at all of the games that they have, all right, let's see how many people they used on their bench yesterday. They had
pretty much everybody on their bench got used yesterday at some point.
Yeah. And Scott, as much as we want to see the Pacers lose, we would rather have a championship come to Seattle than just have a team that used to be here lose. It's all about ring collection, right? So you can only feel so good about another city getting a ring, even if it takes a team you don't necessarily want to see win. Here in Seattle, as much as you don't want OKC to win, we would much rather have another championship come to our city.
That's how pretty much most of my family members that live in Houston would feel about the Titans. If the Titans got a ring, they'd be like, who cares? They're in Tennessee. They're not in Houston.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of the thing, right?
God, I could actually see Bud Adams going to the Super Bowl as the Titans, change over to the Oilers uniforms in the Super Bowl and win it in the Oilers colors. I could just see him doing that insult to injury.
That would be a little bit funny, actually, but
I know it would, damn it.
That would be like if OKC came out for Game 7 in Sonics gear.
My gosh.
People be so mad. But the ratings would be through the roof because people be hate watching that. Like the
Seattle
entire
starts
city
burning
would
up
just,
buildings, trashing police cars because
oh
they're
man,
pissed
people
off.
would be so mad. Be so mad. It'd be funny. I would actually be here for that kind of chaos. Like it would be hilarious. So which will happen first? I mean, honestly, the Pacers could happen Sunday night. Nobody else plays for what the Storm. They still have 3/4 of a season to go. Football season doesn't start for another 2.5 months. So I mean, the Pacers obviously have the inside track here.
I like how Scott asked you and Pags about a Cowboy when he mentions the Cowboys title. He leaves out the one Cowboys fan.
Well,
So I'm not hurt, Scott.
That's because you can't be realistic about it. Because every year is our year, we them boys.
So, whoa. I have spent the last 2 years trying to build the reputation of not being delusional. So I don't understand this. This hurts my feelings. This honestly hurts my feelings. Scott, I'm hurt.
It hurts my feeling. The one I have left.
One. I've only got one.
See, now that would be messed up. Hang the banner here in Seattle. That would not be cool.
Oh my God. Hang an OKC banner in a Seattle rafter. How crazy would that be?
That would be messed up.
Oh, God.
Like if you wanted to see a building get trashed, that would be how you do it.
It's okay, Scott. I still have that one feeling. You can't take that from me.
That's right. Oh, man. Good stuff.
No, but seriously, though, I mean, so now, Pags, what do you think? I mean, I know Bo's kind of talking. How do you feel about Game 7? What do you see from the Thunder, or what do you expect to see from the Thunder going into Game 7?
I don't know.
I mean, are you expecting them to,
you know what I suspect? I suspect that they should spend a little bit more time trying to offensive rebounds. They were, it was 11-4, which really tells me that there were no offensive rebounds, that nobody is under the basket. The points in the paint were 40-30. So again, that tells me that they were 8 for 30 from 3 points. When you are having a bad day shooting from the arc, you need to start to go inside. And it seemed like it was already too late when they started to go inside. That when they started to, like I said, they got 40 points from the paint. You need to really start to increase that more. So, I mean, the fact that you had only 25% shooting from 3 points where they had 35%, really, that's where all the difference was in the points. Again, when you're down by 31, I mean, did they literally quit and just say, okay, we're going to start taking our break now?
Well, no, because I mean, they went for it in the fourth quarter. They put up like 31 points or something. So I mean, they were trying. Like they were making a real effort at it. It just it was the middle of the game where they couldn't connect on threes and they wouldn't give up on it. Right? They just kept launching threes. And the thing is if they're not landing,
right,
go get a high percentage. Go get a high percentage shot. I mean, think about it when it comes to a quarterback in the NFL, right? Like if your accuracy's off, all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's dial up these dump passes, high percentage, easy accuracy, and get your quarterback on a roll. And then all of a sudden those longer balls start to hit. Every sport is similar in that way. Like if you end up in a slump, go get those high percentage, plays where you can get back into a rhythm. And then all of a sudden those things start to hit. So go to that mid range, go to the basket. But, teams don't really do that anymore. I mean, when you look at mid range shooting, most of the teams at this point don't really do much of it. You're either under the basket or beyond the arc. That middle game really doesn't hardly exist anymore.
And that's the thing too, is SGA is actually one of the better mid-range jumpers in the league, and he does do some mid-range jumpers. I don't know why they weren't having him do more mid-range jumpers, or even or just going to the basket more like they were in Game 5. I just couldn't. I don't understand where that disconnect. You got a formula that's winning. If your threes aren't going down and Neesmith is over there hanging 5 3-pointers and a quarter on you, why would you not go to the paint or the mid range to try to cut into that deficit?
Yeah, and that's the thing is teams live and die by the 3 ball at this point.
Of course
and
they
the
do.
thing
Yeah.
is if your percentage is just terrible, like for whatever reason, the 3 ball just isn't dropping. There's a whole lot of other space on the floor that you could go shoot from. I mean, there's guys that made entire careers out of shooting into that spot that they seem to think doesn't exist
Yeah. So I'm thinking if I'm the coach, Jerry Jones said today that if I'm the coach, I'm saying, look, guys, if our 3's not there, we got to start attacking the paint like we were in 5. I got to he's having some kind of conversation about, when the field goal percentage isn't looking good at the 3-point line, we need to be hitting the basket more in the paint. I've got to imagine he's having that conversation at some level.
Well, it doesn't even have to be in the paint. Go ahead and
mid-range, whatever.
Yeah, do some mid-range shooting. I mean, those are high percentage shots. They're easy to do fadeaways, high accuracy rate. Like, I don't know why teams stay away from that so much.
Even the floater. I know Harkenstein. I saw him hit the floater a couple of times. Why don't they do some of that floater, type shots?
No, that's what I mean. Like, if you're good at ball movement, you can get a clean shot mid-range all game because nobody plays defense really. So, I mean, like if you get a 3-4 pass offensive series and you land in that mid-range, like that's a pretty high percentage shot.
And what I like about going to the bucket is you have a good opportunity to get them into foul trouble just by going to the bucket. So it almost serves us 2 purposes. One, get them in foul trouble, get them onto the bench sooner rather than later. And then, obviously if you make your shot, then it opens up for a 3-point play. I mean, there's so many advantages to going in the paint than there is just hanging on the arc, hitting your 3s. If you can hit the 3.
Well, and that's the thing is if that shot isn't landing for you, there's other ways to win the game. You don't have to just be like, well, it's not falling, so I guess we're just going to lose today. Like,
and I wonder if that was maybe OKC's coach. I wonder if he was calling for adjustments, but the players were just shooting the 3 anyway, or if he just wasn't making the adjustments.
I don't know that teams really even try to adjust anymore. Like it's not like it's unique to this series or this playoffs. Like you watch the regular season all year. Tons of teams get blown out because they jacked up 35 3-pointers and they hit 6. And it's like, well, the 3 just wasn't landing. It's like, yeah, you know what you could have done with like 30 of those shots? Anything closer. Because if you hit 50%,
yeah. No, but that's absolutely correct. Why not?
But they don't. Like most of these teams all live and die by the 3. And for some of the teams, you can get it like the shorter teams, right? Some of those shots are harder to get mid-range because you got guys that just aren't that tall. But I mean, basketball's supposed to be a skill game, right? So how about
it used to be a skill game.
Yeah, I don't know. It is frustrating to watch the NBA generally. So
I mean, but no, seriously though, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I do feel like from the 90s and beyond or earlier into now the 2000s, I feel like a lot of skill sets have gone by the wayside. Boxing out, like I said, getting in position for rebounds, all those little things, the mid-range jump, whatever. I mean, dribbling techniques, crisp passing techniques, rather than trying to find this mythical pass that 9 times out of 10 last night turned into a turnover.
Well, and some of that is the issue of guys aren't breaking down to the play.
Right.
So everybody's just hanging out beyond the 3-point arc. That's also why you don't get a lot of offensive boards because nobody's in position to go get one. If everybody's beyond the arc, you're not getting an offensive board because all of the defense is in front of you.
Right.
You're just heaving it up and you're like, well, whether it goes in or it doesn't, we don't get that ball back. So, Yeah. No, it's that is a frustrating element of the game. Like, you don't see a lot of great ball handling type of stuff anymore. Creating a shot, it's a lot of just beyond the arc type of stuff. And then even when it's in the paint, what is that generally from? A fast break, right?
Right. A fast break or a steal that that opens it up. I mean, that's crazy. Or loose balls. I've seen those generate into fast breaks.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is, like you said, it's all fast breaks.
Yeah. And of course they're looking for a good shot. The thing is they're no longer looking for a mid-range shot. So when the 3 isn't landing, I mean, the 24-second clock obviously makes it so you can't just camp on the ball. But I mean, Jordan, those guys, they all had 24-second shot clocks. He made his whole career out of the mid-range jumper.
Literally. And a lot of it was on the baseline. A lot of this were on the baseline fading out.
Jordan was pretty good at that mid-range shot.
I mean, between him and Olajuwon, between the two of them, they were great at the fadeaway baseline. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Jordan and Olajuwon hit that fadeaway jump shot. I mean, I can almost see it visibly in my mind watching them do it. And they're like, oh my God, how did Jordan hit that fadeaway mid-range? I mean, how many times do you see him do that crazy mid-range shot? I mean,
yeah, it was the double pivot fadeaway, bam, all day long.
All day. All day. But like you said, that's a lost art form. Now it's find the open 3 guy or, get it down low and get the quick dunk.
They're not even looking for the open 3.
Right.
Like you got guys heaving it up that are covered. Like you got someone right in your face. You're like, you know what? Not looking down low. I'm heaving it anyway. So
or even like heaving it from the logo. I've seen the logo shot a few times. I'm like, that is such a low percentage shot, but we're gonna heave it from the logo anyway. I mean,
well, unless you're Steph, right? Like that's actually not a horrible shot for him, but
yeah, you're right. I mean, for him, he's probably one of the few, right?
That is for sure. But so I don't know. It's Sunday will be interesting to see what OKC team shows up.
I still think OKC. I hope I'm not wrong. I really do believe. I think OKC can still wrap this up, but they're going to have to play like they did in Game 5. It can't be
getting a ring on Sunday.
Yeah. I will say this. At the very least, at least a team is going to get a ring that hasn't gotten a ring since I was alive or born, I should say. I mean, I don't think OKC's never gotten a ring. And Pacers, when was the last time the Pacers? What, the ABA? I think, if I'm not mistaken, was the last time they saw a championship. So I don't think either one of those two teams actually have an NBA championship, do they?
Well, I mean, technically, OKC stole all of the history of the Sonics, so they have one in 79, right?
That's right. Wow.
They didn't get to keep the logos, but they rewrote the history books, so it says OKC won championship.
And then the Pacers win in 73.
I don't know.
I think that they did win back in the day. Hold on. Pacers championships. Let's see if it says anything.
Yeah. So, Scott.
70, 72, and 73.
Oh, okay.
ABA.
Yeah. And Scott, this makes sense if you don't have a guy that hits threes well. Right? Like if you don't have shooters on your team, you don't want them jacking up threes because that is not going to work out very good.
Yeah. No, that's what I was saying. They got the ABA championships, but they haven't actually won the NBA championship yet.
Yeah.
But the Sonics have. You said the Sonics got it in 79, which I was 7 years old in 79.
Yeah, I think it was 79. I could be wrong. It might be maybe I'd have to look. I think it was right around there, though.
Man, really? You are a Sonics aficionado. I expect you to know that.
It's either like 76 or it's 79. Like I don't remember.
1979. 1979.
Yeah, 79. Okay. That's what I thought, but but
I was 7 years
right.
old when they
So
got it.
76. That was what the Mariners. That's when the Mariners came in. I think is what it was.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
but,
Well, there's a little history for it. I guess it really doesn't matter who gets it because ain't neither one of them seen it in a hot minute.
that is for sure.
So that being said, now that we're done talking about basketball, because I was just not very excited about that even a little bit. How about yesterday in baseball? First off, you had Pirates pitcher take a swing at a fan.
Oh, I missed that.
And then you had the whole situation with the Dodgers and the Padres. The managers going at it.
Wow.
I missed both of those.
So
yeah, I definitely missed both of those.
In the Dodgers Padres game, the Padres are up 9th inning. They threw and hit Fernando Tatis Jr.
Okay.
And he was down for a minute. And the manager came out and started barking at Dave Roberts. And Dave Roberts came out and actually pushed the manager. They actually came together and touched each other.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, everybody got in between them.
Yeah.
And they're yelling at each other. Like, it almost looked like if you could do the John Boy situation. Like, I'll see you outside. We will take this outside. Let's do this outside. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what it looked like that Dave Roberts was saying. Now, Dave Roberts is like, what, 60 years old, 70 years old. So I can't imagine he's about to throw down anytime real soon. But
not like guns with a good baseball bat.
Hey, you never know. Remember that what I can't remember what coach he was. He came out. He's like 80 years old, and one of the players socked him.
No, it wasn't socked him. It was the Yankees, and
he threw him to the ground. Right?
He threw him to the ground. That was actually Pedro Martinez.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's been, and you could have the Yankees manager. What's his face? He was crazy enough to try to start fights all the time.
Is that Joe Torre?
No. Before him.
Oh, before him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look then.
Yeah, it's like he said, he was like the manager 3 times of the Yankees, 3 separate times. And you would know him, but like if I thought of the name right away, it would
right.
But he was a crazy bastard too. But and then here it was, the pitcher from the Pirates that went after the fan. It's odd. Obviously, it was happening in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is known for being douchebags over there. So obviously, it's
Welcome
I get
in
it.
Cincinnati.
But this guy is really kind of quiet and mild mannered in general, and to jump up and take a swing at somebody is interesting. I found that really interesting. I was like, but anyways, that happened. But the Padres game at the bottom of the 9th, they hit Ohtani. So, and then Ohtani was just like, no, and he kept all the Dodgers in the dugout. So it didn't. Nobody came back out again. And Ohtani went over to the Padres afterwards, like walked over like after the game because it was the 9th inning at that point, and calmed things down, which is interesting. You know what I mean? It's like he shook hands with a couple of the Padres, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, we did it. You know what I mean? You guys, we hit him, you hit me. We're done.
We're good.
That's the policing of baseball.
Yeah.
So, there's something to be said for that. It's kind of interesting to see Ohtani, amongst everything else, kind of. I mean,
be the
first
peacekeeper.
Off, yeah. I mean, not only be the peacekeeper, but think about that in a long. And I mean, he ain't supposed to be able to speak English. That's why he's got that interpreter. And then, most of the guys in the Padres can't speak English either. So you got an, Japanese guy talking to a whole bunch of Hispanic guys in a language, and they're both using the language that they don't use typically.
Yeah.
Was it Billy Martin? Is that the one you were thinking?
Martin, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking at their list of managers. And I'm like, man, Billy Martin coached that team several times, more than just 3 times.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that was always stirring the pot. So,
yeah,
always
hey, sometimes you need that.
I mean, it's interesting when you see managers throwing down. I mean, damn. But maybe that fires up your team in some cases, right? Is that all? Maybe it's not always a bad tactic if you're trying to spark a team.
I mean, usually managers getting tossed is purposely for that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let's get this, let me get tossed so that I can fire up our team. Yep. The Phillies did it by, benching one of the players, Castellanos. Like he benched him for a couple of games, and he's back out there now. And the problem is one of the issues I do have is that he was initially pulled for defensive purposes, and that's what spawned the back and forth between the manager and the player, and then he got benched because of it. Here it is, this game here, it's a 2-1 game. The last at bat, goes, to right field, and guess who's playing out there? And it wasn't taken out of the game for defensive purposes, was Castellanos. So, which kind of goes to me, it's like, how do you bench a guy because you pulled him out when you haven't really done that all season long? Now you say you're going to do it because of defensive purposes, that you got an inkling or a feeling that you wanted the defensive right fielder in there rather than Castellanos, and you pull him out of the game, and he gets hot about it. And then ultimately the next game that he's back in there again, and it's a 1-run game. This is, for defensive purposes, you don't want him in there if that's the case, but you got him in there. Well, and he made the play, but ultimately it's like, how do you do it one time and then not do it the second time and think that that message is still going to come across the way it's supposed to?
Yeah, of course it's not. And that's true with anything, right? I mean, if you're inconsistent, like nobody knows really what's going on, right? And that's true in sports, with kids, with training pets. Like, it doesn't matter. If the discipline isn't the same, nobody really knows what the boundary is.
Right. And I feel like that's part of the problem with sports right now in general, mostly basketball. You have a very difficult time managing or coaching a basketball team. You have a less of a hard time, but still a really difficult time coaching or managing a baseball team. I mean, hockey's a little bit of a different game in total, so it's that falls into a different set of rules. Football, again, there's so many coaches out there, but usually I would say out of all of the sports, football is the one where the coaches actually do have the most say. That if you have a problem with their player, they pull them off the field.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times where that's really been the case. I mean, think of Josh Huff right now for the Eagles now, who's now for the 49ers. I mean, he was the high-end free agent that they signed. He didn't play but like 4 or 5 games. And that's odd to see stuff like that. The NFL in that regards does do it right.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is absolutely the team first organization, right? Like we need all of our guys out there to be pulling together to win. And I mean, it's probably more true in that sport than anything, right? Like you could have an ace pitcher take over a game. You can have one guy on a basketball court take over a game. No one dude is winning you a football game. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You need too many people. So when you got somebody that's just out there in super diva mode, it's like, yeah, cool, take a seat. I'll take the guys that want to be here over somebody that has a lot of talent that takes plays off and isn't a good teammate.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And it made me wonder if, I know that we're getting closer and closer to the 18 game schedule.
Yeah.
But then I started to think about this in a little bit of a different way. And it's like, do you think it'll get to the point where there is no preseason at all? When I say that, there is that they would have just straight out 20 game schedule where all the games are going to matter in one way or another.
Yeah, I think what you see is, like, at some point I do think you get to the 20 game schedule, and I think where it changes is now you're seeing more of the joint practices. And I think you'll just see that continue to evolve into, you have, instead of some of the teams participating and some not, I think you'll see everybody have 2 or 3 joint practices. And that's where you'll evaluate the talent that's trying to make the last 5 roster spots. Because most teams already know who, 45 or more of their 53 are going to be anyway, right? So the other 40 guys in preseason are all vying for the last 5 or 6 positions generally. So you'd use those joint practices in that, in that fashion. And then, you probably end up with the 20 game, season, because you're playing the games anyway.
I'm saying that's probably 10 years, but like they're not going to they will not go from 18 to 19, then 19 to 20. It'll be 18 and then 20. They will not increase it by one. So, and it might take 20 years from now. Like it might be a full 20 years, because it's going to take a little bit of time once the 18th game drops on whether, like, okay, now we're playing 18 games. It's going to be that schedule for about good 10 to 15 years. And then we're going to start to discuss it, because it'll become a money thing and become how the fact that nobody is playing.
And I guess by them doing away with the preseason games and going to a joint practice formula, I'm assuming that they're just going to jack up the practice prices for people to go see, and that would compensate the money that they would lose in preseason games. Is that how that would work?
They're not losing anything in preseason, because those would be real games. So now you get to charge full price tickets for those, because preseason games, the tickets are cheaper.
Right.
So now you have
the tickets are the same price.
Right. So those joint practices would occur in the training camp itself. So you're not losing any time. Yeah.
I've always bought preseason aftermarket, so they're always cheaper.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't buy them. I wait for somebody to give them to me, because ultimately it's like the one time that's like, there's no sense in me trying to go. Like, why would I ever want to go to the first game of the season, preseason game, when there's nobody that's going to be playing? Typically it's hot as balls, you know what I mean? And it's like I would have to invoke my 100-degree rule.
Fair enough. I usually try and go to the Seahawks Raiders preseason game, because we generally see them in the preseason, because it's an old AFC West matchup, right? One I grew up with. And so I always like going to that game just because it's a fun game to go to. But yeah, to your point, like there's not generally anybody playing, but it is one that I like to go to. So if I buy a ticket, it'll be to that game, just because for whatever reason, most of the time, most preseasons, we get the Raiders.
That's interesting.
Heckling drunk fans. And for your earlier one here, Rob, you know, I agree with everything except for the Mariners. The Mariners are doing exactly what we're used to seeing. So everybody
Well,
else.
I will tell you though that Detroit, I knew Detroit was going to get to this level because like I said, I believe AJ Hinch is just a really good manager at developing and eyeing talent, and he did it with the Astros, and I knew he was going to do it with Detroit. It just was going to take a little time for him to get this team where he wanted it, but I knew AJ was going to get back into that level.
The second half of last season for Detroit was good.
You're right. Well, you're right. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, they just continued on the progression that they had from last year. So, I mean, Detroit wasn't a shock. The Orioles falling apart kind of a little bit of a surprise. But, you know, and the Cubs have good players. Like, I mean, the Cubs shouldn't be that much of a surprise, really.
I guess it was for me because I haven't really followed the Cubs as much, so I didn't up until the point when Tucker went there. But I knew when Tucker went there, they were getting a good, valuable, you know, piece to build around or build with. Man, they are really just
I mean they're playing good baseball. You know, as long as nobody bunts against them.
just don't bunt. Just don't bunt.
Can you imagine that week of practice after that?
Oh, dude,
like, okay,
I'm telling you.
Our fielding is all bunts today. Like, you guys are going to figure out how to put
1 hour of bunting, followed by 1 hour of theory about bunting.
And then we're going to go back out there and bunt some more. You guys are going to figure this out.
That's where the practical will be, the theory, then the practical.
Yep. Man.
Well, I tell you what, man. I remember when I was in high school watching when baseball was going on and they would practice bunting and people hated it even then too. Nobody ever liked them drills.
Do you not find it a little odd that the Tampa Bay Rays are in the #1 wild card spot?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just never pay that much attention to the Rays.
Well, I mean,
they happen to be in the #1 wild card spot, just so that you know. Yeah. They are obviously the Detroit Tigers are the #1 team in Major League Baseball at the moment. They happen to be like 4 games ahead of the Yankees in that regards. But like I said, it's the Yankees, the Rays, and the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. All 4 of those teams right now are in the playoffs.
And they're all from one division, just about.
Right. So,
but that division is
Guardians with the Guardians and the Mariners at a half game behind that to get in there. But the fact that the Rays are the #1 wild card team by, I guess, by a half a game in that regards, and 2.5 on really you guys, they're 2.5 up and stuff like that. That's kind of more a testament on the fact that, you know, is it maybe because they are playing at Steinbrenner Field that field might be a little bit smaller?
Well, I think it is smaller, isn't it?
Yeah, is it like?
Oh no, it's definitely smaller.
I'm not talking capacity, Jay. I mean,
no. I'm talking about size.
Yeah, I thought it is a little bit smaller.
So. Yeah. But would it really be though? Because every team would have that same advantage. Then it would come down to who's got the better pitching to avoid the smaller field.
Not necessarily, because when you're playing on a smaller field, like listen, the Yankees get to play on Yankee Stadium every time, so they always have that short porch. Yeah. So they take advantage of that short porch for 81 games, where everybody else only gets to take advantage of it for 3 or 6 games.
Yeah.
The Rays playing down at Steinbrenner Field, they have a very similar situation over there, do they not? I got to imagine.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I'd have to look it up, but I think you're right.
So, I mean, there's a piece of me that thinks that could actually be working in their benefit. However, they did go into negotiations. They are starting to have conversations about selling that team. So it looks like the Rays are going to be moving. Right now, Jacksonville, a team or a guy from Jacksonville is the one who's interested in purchasing them, which makes me wonder, will he go to Jacksonville or will they consider moving the team to Nashville, which I think is a real possibility. I think I don't think Jacksonville is a place that's going to handle baseball. And I don't think that they're ready to move another team into Florida, go from Florida to Florida even. Like, I think it's time
Yeah.
to move them on to a city that will actually embrace them a little bit.
So even though they're selling the team, you're definitely thinking that they're going to move it, that they wouldn't consider keeping the team in Tampa.
So it's going to become a matter of that whole deal with the stadium, and I think that that's still in limbo.
Yeah.
When St. Petersburg said no to the stadium after saying yes, I feel like that kind of really did them in. And now it becomes a matter of, does Tampa really want to try to do anything else? Truth of the matter is that they don't support that team down there.
Exactly.
So, I mean, interestingly enough, the hockey team does pretty well down there, the Lightning. And of
Yes.
course, the Buccaneers do pretty well down there.
Yep.
Short of that, they don't really do much of anything else. So they don't, spring training. Everybody goes to spring training down in Tampa. And that's kind of where I feel that. Like, it's the same thing with Miami. Miami baseball is not worth to go see because there's so many other things that I could do in Miami, like
Yes.
drink.
So where you think they go?
So I like I said, I think that Nashville. If I'm a guy from Jacksonville buying this team, Nashville is close enough. And then it'll be interesting because Dombrowski, who is part of the Phillies organization and like the senior assistant to the GM right now, because he's not the GM at the moment. There's a kid that's the GM. He was very big in trying to get a baseball team in Nashville. So I feel that he would still be part of that situation. And I think that they would actually go to Nashville. And I think that the only reason why they haven't gone there yet is because of the same situation as anything else, is trying to build a friggin' stadium and get that money for that.
If they move to Nashville, do you think they keep the name Devil Rays, or would they change it to something different to suit the town?
You would hope.
I could see him keeping the name Devil Rays in Jacksonville because you're still on the water. It's a damn water animal, but there's no damn water in Nashville. So why would they? Wouldn't they do? To me, it sounds like they'd want to change the name to fit the state or fit the area.
I mean, I would change the name. Like if I moved to Nashville, I would probably call ourselves the Nashville G-Strings.
And eerily enough, that would probably be more appropriate than the Devil Rays.
I mean, there's always that. Do you think it's Nashville, or do you think Montreal gets a team again?
Well, I don't think that a guy who lives in Florida is interested in going to Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
If there was an actual group that was interested in buying the Rays.
Yeah.
And
that's what I mean. If they sell it.
Well, yeah, like I said, but right now the guy who's talking about the Rays, because anytime a team is in a conversation, they have to announce it. They can't do quiet negotiations. So that's the reason why I know that this is even occurring. You know what I mean? Because it was like, hey, the Rays announced that they are looking to possibly be bought, and right now, that team without a real city behind them is worth $1.7 billion.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if they did go back. If they did go to Montreal, would they be able to reclaim the name Expos again, or would they have to do something different?
No, I do think they retain the rights. If they brought a team back, they could use Expos because the Nationals changed the the name, right? So it's not like the Expos went to Washington and stayed the Expos, right? They became the Nationals, and so I believe Montreal still has those name rights.
It would become the rights. For instance, like the Thunder own the rights to the Sonics. So if Seattle was to get another basketball team, they would not be able to be called the Sonics.
So that's not true. They don't have the rights to the name. What they do have the rights to is the history, which is why they rewrote the history book to say OKC won that 79 championship, as opposed to saying that it was the Sonics. So if we get a team, we can call them the Sonics again. But that's the only thing we retained was the name.
Got ya. And I wouldn't want to call them the Sonics again. I would actually want to start a whole new history.
Yeah, I would put big money on the fact if we get a team back, it's the Sonics again.
Yeah. But I guarantee if Houston was to have gotten the Oilers, if they could have kept that name, they wouldn't be the Texans. They would definitely like to go back to the Oilers. So much so that even University of Houston was using the Oilers colors, and then Bud Adams found out about it and made them take away the colors. So yeah, I guarantee we would love to have that name back. It ain't gonna happen, but they would have loved to have had it.
I think the Sound is a better name. The Seattle Sound.
Well, see,
you do have Puget Sound there.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that though, because our soccer team is the Sounders.
Oh,
that'd be too close.
That definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it realistically, just history wise, they're going to bring it back because, well, you get to be lazy. You get to bring back all the old designs and everything. Like
I think just from a history standpoint, I'm not even from Seattle, and I would much rather see the Supersonics come back into the league because I like the history.
And of course, the Supersonics makes sense for the Seattle area because Boeing is here. Supersonic jets,
I think you call them the Crab.
See, and that's why we don't let you name stuff.
The Seattle Crab.
Get a big crab mascot.
And that's the thing, right? Like we want to wear our old jerseys and stuff. The downside is we don't get to rehang any of the old banners. Like all of the history is squashed. So it's like it's an expansion team, right? Because it would be. You get the history of the name, but none of the history of the team. So that's where it's kind of dumb. But technically, you're right. Technically, you don't get the history, but everybody in that city of Seattle, and really everybody in the NBA knows that history is still with you. Whether they can technically put it there or not, it's still your history, right? OKC may have the rights to it, but everybody knows. It's kind of like you said. If I was on a team for 3 days or 3 games and I got shipped off somebody else, I get a ring. But would you wear the ring? Nah, not really, because you didn't earn the ring. I mean, they talk about them having that championship, though. So,
yeah, but I think between us, we know the difference, though.
No, I mean, of course, but that doesn't matter for the history books, right?
I mean, I get it.
We're old enough to have seen it. There's a lot of people watching sports that weren't, right? So, like I grew up with the Sonics, but there's a lot of kids today that the Sonics were never a thing.
Yeah. And you're right. That's a good point.
So then it just comes down to who is, what the history books say, because they didn't watch any of those games. So
I think OKC's a bunch of bitches for even wanting somebody else's history. That's crazy. That's like me saying, hey, I want Bo's underwear. Hell with Bo, but I want his underwear.
I knew it.
On that note,
thanks for tuning in for the nobody watching anymore. This took a weird turn right at the end. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. We can bring you some crazy stuff every day. If you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Obviously, we got some Storm basketball tonight. So tune in for that. Ion TV, 7 p.m. Pacific. And other than that, we will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace.